Hi everyone, welcome to Jawaras. In the previous video, we have seen Spring IOC container overview. We have seen how to create configuration metadata and pass it to Spring IOC container, and how to access the container using application context, and how to get the beans out of the container using getBean methods. So in the getBean method, we can pass either the type or the name of the bean along with the type of the bean. And we have seen how to define the configuration metadata in the XML files. So mm, we have seen like how to reference another bean for the property of one bean, and how to import other bean definitions in a file. Now in this video we are going to see different ways to instantiate a bean. So there are three ways to do that, either using constructor or using a static factory method or using instance factory method. So for that I will create a new project, a file, new project. The name I will give Spring Core E2, and let's say bean overview. So this is the location, this is JDK, and this is a Maven project. We have already specified that here. Let's see if there is anything empty. No, this is the we selected archetype. Okay, let's click on create this window. Okay, so if we try to create a main class here, let's delete this first. We don't need that. We can delete meta inf as well. Let's create a new directory called Java. Now inside Java we can create a new package called main. Inside main package, create a new Java class called main with capital M, or let's say Spring or E02 bean overview, and create a main method here. And for now let's just say hello. Let's see if it works, and it doesn't as expected. Now we need to update pom.xml for it to use Java version 17. So I will do that, and it's done. So now if I run the app again, you can click here, run the app again. Okay, not this one. Let's run it again. And we can see hello here. That means it will work. Now as we have seen in the previous video, we need a dependency called Spring Context. I will go to pom.xml file, dependencies, and we need one dependency called Spring Context. And from the group will be org.spring framework. The version will be 6.0.11, but as we have seen in the previous video, we can create one variable here, spring dot version 6.0.11, and we can use that variable here. Let reload the Maven changes. We see no error, that means it is working. Now let's create one package here called services, and inside let's create author service, and in the resources let's create new XML configuration file, spring config, and let's say services.xml, but we don't need to specify .xml here. It will be specified automatically. Now let's create a bean here. So let's bean of the class will be services dot author service, and that's it. So just by doing that, we will be able to get the author service bean from the context. And let's create a context here. So the application context will be new class path XML application context, because we are defining configuration metadata in XML file. So, and the name will be services.xml. I'm not going into the detail of how these things works. You can see the previous video for more details. So here we have created an application context. It will read this file services.xml and it will create all the beans which we have defined in this file. And then from this context we can get the beans which we need. So let's get the bean which we need, obviously. So the type will be author service. Let's say service will be context.getBean. Type is author service.class. Let's print this service here. So this is the first way, like access the bean by type. Let's run it. Okay, it's running, no surprise here. Now there is another method by which we can use the access the bean using id here. Let's say we give it a id author service. It's best to provide the id as we provide the variable name. So author service. So here we can get that bean, access the bean using id and type author service service1 equal to context.getBean. id is author service, type is author service dot class, and let's print that as well, service1. And both of these should point to the same instance because there is only one bean. We just provided one id here. Now we can provide some name as well, and there can be many names. Let's say author service 2, author service 3, author service 4. So we can access the same instance using these three names. So let's do that here. So let's say 3 using name of the bean, name or names, because there are multiple names. So let's say where s2 will be context.getBean. The name is author service 2. So we can access this bean using either name author service 2, author service t, sorry, author service 3, author service 4, or author service. Or even if we don't specify any name, we will get the same bean because there is only one instance, or there is only one bean of type author service in the application. So let's say we are using author service 2 here, and the type will be author service dot class, and let's print it s2, and we can see it here. Let's do that for s4 now. S4 equal to context dot get bean, and the name was author service 4, and author service dot class. Let's print s4 here, and we got the same instance here. So we printed it 4 times, but every time it's the same bean. Now let's say you have created a bean here with this id, but you want to access it using different names. So you are not responsible for creating the bean, you are responsible for accessing the bean, and you want to access it with some other name. So what you can do is you can create alias for that. So to do that, type alias. Now first is the name. So what is the original name of the service, so or the bean? So you can specify author service, author service 2, author service 3, or author service 4. Let's specify author service 3 here. Alias is what is the new name which you want to give. Let's say author service 5. Now author service author service 2, author service 3, author service 4, author service 3, and author service 5. All will represent the same bean, and we can see that here. Go here, and so we can, the fourth method is using alias. Let's say where s5 will be context.get bean author service 5, and type is author service class. And here if we print the s5, refresh it, and we can see we got the same instance every time, because alias just gives it another name, it doesn't change anything. So that's the thing. Now let's comment out all these things. From here to here we can comment out. Let's comment out. Okay, now we have seen how we can access the bean, but now let's see how to create the bean. So what are different methods of creating a bean? So first, what we have seen here, this is called constructor. So constructor instantiation, or let's say instantiate or create a bean using constructor. What this does is it just calls the constructor of author service and it creates the bean. Now I will comment it out. So this was the first type which we see generally. Now let's see there is another second type which is create bean using static factory method. Okay, so for that there should be a static factory method inside any class, but generally static factory methods are defined inside the same service of which we want to create an instance. So what we can do is here we can create a static method. So static, let's create public static, and it will return the author service. That means instance of the same class author service. Let and get instance, and let's return instance. And this instance is uh, a static variable, private static. Type will be author service. Instance will be new author service. But um, in this case, we don't want anyone to call author service constructor directly. So then, so how do we prevent that? We can mark the constructor as private. So what we can do is private author service. So now this constructor is private, so we cannot call this constructor from outside of the class. That means only this class can call this constructor. The only way to access an instance of author service is calling this method get instance method. And that's why this is called factory instance, or sorry, the factory method as well. So let's create a bean. So what we can see is what we can do is here bean. We can give it any name, ID, anything we want, or the only thing which we need is class services.author service and factory method, which is get instance. So if we don't if we only specify factory method, we don't specify factory class, that means this is an static factory method. So what it will do, it will just call author service dot get instance method, and whatever it returns will be stored as a bean inside this Spring IOC container, and then we can get the bean here. So let's get it here. So I will say where service equals to context dot get bean of type author service dot class. and let's print it here. And we can see we got instance of author service. Let's verify if this is the same as this service. What we will do is, before returning an instance, I will just print the instance here and rerun the app. Okay, so we can see both of these are the same, so both points to the same object. That means we are returning this instance as a bean. Okay, so this was the how we create. Okay, we don't need to put it here. So this is the second type of creating a bean using static factory method. Now let's see the third type. Third type is create bean using instance factory method. That means there will be another class for which first we will create a bean, and after that that class will have a method which will return instance of the service which we need to create. So for that what we can do is, let's remove everything from here. I will comment it out here for your reference. And inside services, let's create a new class called service locator. And this service locator will have a method, and it will be instance factory method. So let's say public, it won't have a static, so it will be instance method. It will return author service, and let's say get author service. You can give this method any name. It should return what you need. And let's create an author service here. So I will say private author service equal to new author service, and let's make it final as well, and return author service. So it will return author service. So first, before calling this method, since it's an instance method, so before calling this method we need to create object of this class, but we will leave that responsibility to Spring IOC container. So we will tell container to create an object or bean of service locator first. For that we will just create a bean of type services.service locator, and let's give it an ID called service locator. So this will create a bean using constructor method for service locator, but now we will use that bean to call get author service method. So let's create a bean. So first we'll need factory bean, and it will be this bean. So we will give this ID service locator. Now it will um, search inside this object, and what is the method name? That will be factory method get author service. So what container will do is, first it will create a bean of type service locator, and it will call it service locator. Then inside service locator it will call this method get author service, and whatever will be the return type of get author service, it will keep that bean inside it, and then we can access the bean. So let's go to the main method and access it, where service will be context.getBean of type author service dot class, and then we can print the service. Let's do that, and we can see we got the instance of author service here. But to verify whether this service and this author service both are same or not, we can print the author service here, author service, and rerun the app, and we can see both prints the same thing. That means both are same instance of the author service. So these were the three methods how we create a bean. So first is using constructor, second is using static factory method, and third is using instance factory method. So that's it for this video. I will meet you in the next video. Until then, keep learning. Bye.